So I reiterate here, the bill is dead.
The story of this great city is about the years before this night. We are great!
Hello! Welcome to a very special new episode of Hong Kong. We are on Zoom today because I have a very special guest we'll get to in a second. But Vivek, how are you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm very good. It's kind of cold in Hong Kong and no one's getting to move around town, so you're staying cold all day long, man. It's terrible.
Yeah, so we live about 5 minutes away from each other, but we decided it's too cold for us to even see each other. So let's just do this over Zoom.
Yeah, but we're blaming COVID for that one. We're like, oh, it's just COVID restrictions. I don't want to be that close to people. Who knows?
We don't want to prove that we're doing anything illegal because you have people in your house. I have a dog, so I think more than 4 people in total is not okay. So
exactly. I mean,
we're playing safe.
All right, exactly. So now since we can't see each other in person, how do we see each other online? Where do we find you?
I am at the other Muhammad on Instagram. That's mostly where I exist online. How about you?
Me is just Funny Vivek, and you find that anywhere. Website, Facebook, Instagram. Not YouTube, though. Still not there.
Any progress on that?
No, dude. Zero. I've not even tried. It's given up. I'm like, what's the point?
you have went far enough with the whole Facebook thing. Like you pushed your luck.
Yeah, that
now
was really
if you
lucky,
push YouTube, they're just gonna take away your entire existence. So
now it's just
that.
greed. Yeah, this is just
exactly.
Greed. Yeah.
What is with the beanie? Aren't you indoors?
I am indoors, but I'm actually feeling cold. I've realized that the last few days have taught me that I've gotten old now. Like I literally wear a beanie at home. I'm like, I can't believe this is actually happening in my life. I've lost enough hair to keep my head warm anymore.
Amazing. Speaking of old, we have a very special guest with the perfect segue here. Not only that he's old in age, but he's also an old friend. And he's an old comedian and he's a father. He's many things. But the main reason we wanted to bring him on is that recently he became a pastor. And we wanted to talk to him a little bit about this. Drew Fralick has been on the podcast before when Andy was on. Drew, how are you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm good. Well, I'm great now. Thanks for calling me old. I appreciate it.
Yeah. We like to introduce our guests in the most respectful way possible and then take it from there.
I feel like Andy's still on the pod with that introduction.
So. Nice. Yeah, Andy left in spirit, but he's still here in whatever way.
He still haunts us every now and then with bad introductions. We're like, we're dedicating this bad introduction to you. Our next guest is an asshole. Hey, it sounds like Andy.
Oh, wait, Andy's back with the podcast?
His mean spirit still hangs around the podcast studio.
Exactly.
Oh, man. All right, so just to let everybody know, Drew Fralick actually came to Hong Kong, performed in our comedy festival, and won it. So today, out of the 3 people on this podcast, 2 are champions.
All right, I'm just gonna log out very quickly. That's the best thing about Zoom.
I'm not done. Okay. 2 are champions, and 1 is the person who decides if you even get booked on a show. So you do the math. Look at us, winners.
Yeah. Drew, actually, this is a great way to start. Drew, you only did the Hong Kong festival. How many times did you do the Hong Kong festival?
Well, I did it 1 time.
That's it.
Well, yeah, just, did it. Came, just, popped down there, won it, and then went on my way. You know what I mean?
All right, so your set was pretty remarkable, actually. I wasn't here in Hong Kong, but obviously all of these guys were, and they were talking about how much risk you took with this set, because I know the set that you did, and I couldn't believe that you did it on the final. Like, just walk us through your thought process and tell the audience a little bit about the set that you did.
So the set is like, it's basically the premise is, what if boring office work had like a sports commentator talking behind like what you were doing, So it's like, oh, he's going over to the copy machine. He's making copies. And now he's typing out an Excel sheet on the computer. And so actually I found out, I never told you this, Mohammed, but I found out there was a guy who took that exact same concept and did it on YouTube starting last year. And it has millions of views.
Are you serious?
It's called, I think it's called #real life commentary. It's
What?
literally the exact same thing. It's on YouTube. I looked it up. I was like, man, there's just nothing new under the sun. You know what I mean? Like,
We should start putting that guy on blast. Just go in the comments and just like trash him, saying he stole it from Drew Fralick and stuff.
he's a British guy. He's like absolutely killing it. He was a soccer commentator for like 2 decades in the UK. And then he took this concept and it blew up on YouTube.
And then he saw your videos like, that's it. I'm becoming
like,
a comedian.
So I did that set. So there's like a warm-up show, or let's see. There was a warm-up show with Gina Yashere the night before the final. And so I got to be on that show. So I did my set that I was going to do for the final on that show the night before. And it totally bombed. We were at this bar. Where does Jamie take the
Is it hold on,
Culture Club?
Yeah, it should be either Culture Club, otherwise Champs. Was it the one where you go downstairs?
Yeah,
Champs.
Jamie takes you to this bar,
Right.
and it's like a yacht club or something. I don't know. And then you do your set up there, right? It's like to really, I think the point of it is to like shatter your confidence the night before the final. So I went and did that set. I did I love that joke. I did that joke the night before, and it totally bombed. And I got off stage, and Jamie was like, "So what are you going to do for the final tomorrow night?" And I was like, "Well, I was thinking about doing that joke." And he was like, "I don't think that's a winner." And I was like, "Oh man." But yeah, he was wrong. So anyways, it all worked out. But yeah, it was.
I mean, I'm fascinated by the risk you took with something like this. Like, what is going, like, clearly, especially if it bombed the night before as well. What made you think that no, I know what I'm doing?
Arrogance. I don't know. I think that I've always, I like to take risks on stage. You've seen me bomb many times, doing things, throwing Doritos at the audience and jumping out of boxes and dressing up like a woman and doing Shakespeare and different things like singing songs.
Also on an international festival final, by the way. This is when the Drew's risk goes tits up, right? Because we were doing the Shanghai festival together. He's on the final. We're all terrified of him because he's Drew, and he walks up dressed up as Lady Macbeth with a wig and the dress and everything, and bombs for 10 minutes with material he has never done before ever. He's basically doing an open mic set on the final. And everyone's like, because we know Drew is like, he's going to turn it around. No, there was no turning around. And then the funniest thing is that because you're wearing a dress and a wig, you can't just snap into your regular material.
Okay, so what happened was, so I won. Okay, we're getting the weeds a little bit here, but let me see. Okay. So in 2015, I won the Hong Kong final, right? And then in 2016, we had the competition in mainland China, right? And so some of people listening to this pod, they might know Turner Sparks, right? Who was one of the comedians in Shanghai. And Turner had told me, like, you need to, he basically told me, like, you need to go big or go home, like, the next year in 2016. So I came up with this set where I'm going to dress up like Lady Macbeth and do this mashup of, like, lines from Shakespeare with pop songs written by female artists from the early 90s. And it was this concept. It was a good listen, the concept was solid. It was a good idea. It was just, it wasn't funny. That was the problem. It wasn't funny. I mean, it was like a performance piece, but everyone, it was a comedy competition. So, it was memorable, but
I would have thought, like, after the previous year, learning that not taking advice led you to the champion. Like, why would you change your whole game mode and go like, oh, let me actually take advice this year and see what happens, and bam, you bomb.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really taken, I take advice sometimes, but I should have just listened to my heart instead of Turner. What are you going to do? You know what I mean? It happens. it happens. And I remember, there was lots of bad bombings. It was ugly for a while there, but
Because like I remember when you were in Hong Kong competing, and when you went up there and you did your set, I remember basically there were parts of the set where you had your back to the audience, and you were like, it's more like a dramatic theatrical thing, and we were
right.
all kind of confused, thinking like, oh, I don't know, man, I don't know. I mean, it was good, but this is a stand-up comedy competition. Like, are the judges going to be purists? Like, I'll be honest, if I were one of the judges, I'd be like, no, I'm a purist comedian. I want stand-up comedy with mic in hand and face to my face, that kind of thing. But then the judges were like, "This is it. You're making me laugh. That's all it takes, and you win." And you won it, and everyone was just like, "Okay, so that's possible now. All right." And then I think a few years later, Hanan from Malaysia came down and performed a musical comedy, and I think she also won it. And then Jamie just banned that. She's like, "Yeah, no."
Okay, I'm gonna have to interject here and say there is a massive difference between turning your back to the audience while you're doing a stand-up set and then using an actual prop where you play music. Those are vastly different things, Vivek. You should know that. What are you talking about?
I'm just saying, it's just like I'm like, okay, so now I see what's happening over here. It's just like
No, Drew just does hacky stuff when he just screams at the audience and does accents. That's different. He's just a hack. He's not the music prop.
He's not trying to harmonize his punchlines. That's basically what you're saying.
He's just selling it with energy.
No, but the thing is the other comics, they always made fun of me. They're like, "Oh, you're so hacky," but it's just a different kind of hack. They're all hacky. Listen, all those guys, they're all hacky. Muhammad's hacky. There's nothing new. You know what I mean? Like, we're all. There's no new. You come up with like a joke idea, right? Like I had.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example I saw today. I'll give you an example from today. I had this joke like a couple years ago about what if Spider-Man were out in the countryside and there's no tall buildings, right? It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's already funny.
He's just shooting his web out into the cornfield, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a great idea. Oh, so funny. Aren't I such a funny, clever guy? Today, I'm sitting in a bar and I look up at the TV and what do I see? A Hyundai commercial, the exact same concept. It's just, there's nothing new. There's Spider-Man out in the middle of Iowa shooting his webs out into the middle of a cornfield or sorghum or something. And then he gets into a Hyundai and drives to the city. I mean, it's just, there's nothing new. We're all
this podcast is basically Drew complaining about people stealing his ideas. What the hell, dude?
Basically, I think what Turner meant by go big or go home is like, actually, your ideas, don't just do it on stage, do it into a commercial or put it on YouTube, because it seems like your ideas are great and like everyone's putting it on some sort of screen, and
Yeah,
boom,
dude.
they're making millions.
That's it. Yep, that's what I'm. Yeah.
So I was doing some research about comedians and the religious comedians in particular, and I saw some people from the past, like Sam Kinison is the biggest example, when he was actually either a priest or a pastor before he started doing stand-up comedy.
Mhm.
And you are the only one I know who went the other way around. I mean, you're never really a real comedian anyway, but you're dabbling.
Right.
But then you are now a pastor. How does that work?
Yeah, so I'm not a real pastor either. That's the other part.
Nice.
Wait, is this part of your act now? It's like you come on
Yeah.
stage with the certificate, like, all right, guys, this is it.
All right, so let me back up a little bit. So I started doing comedy in China in like 2010. Now my day job, right? Because I can't support myself off of comedy, obviously.
Wait,
is,
50 RMB a month is not enough?
right, drink tokens from the bar in Wuxi. But so I was
give that to your landlord. Did you ever have this bit? Someone had this bit about how the landlord does not take drink tokens from Hangzhou or whatever.
Yeah. Your rent is due. Will you take the tokens from the Red Lion, please? So I'm a mental health counselor, right? I've been doing mental health work for over 10 years. And that has been my job throughout, the last decade or whatever. So about this was in September, our pastor, who's a very good friend of mine, he told me that he's going to be stepping down from his job as the pastor of the church, and basically was like, would you want to do it? And I'm like, I don't, I'm a therapist. I don't know anything about pastoring. Like at the time I was like, I don't think I could do that, which it turns out, pastoring and therapy are not that much different, but we can get into that more later.
Okay, but slow down here. Walk us through. I am from a Muslim background. Vivek,
Okay.
I don't know what you're up to.
The only thing I've got with pasture is like my milk. That's the closest I have to that word.
Nice. So
Okay.
clearly we don't even know what a pastor is. Like, just also explain that to us and the audience, the hierarchy in the church. Like,
I just
who's
know
the
in the-
pastor,
in
who's
my-
the priest.
Yeah, I just know in my textbooks usually the pastor is white, so that part I can agree with you.
Check.
Yeah, but who has a beard? Is it the pastor or the priest or both? Or
I think
none?
Jesus,
Well,
right?
Jesus had a beard, and the
Yeah.
pastor and the priest are both supposed to have a beard, which is why I'm not a real pastor. 'Cause I don't have a beard.
But is that like by like you have to have a beard, or is it like more
No,
respectful?
That was a joke. It's just
Oh.
not funny. Yeah.
I think Mo, you proved your point about
Yeah,
Drew.
exactly.
Yeah. You don't have to have a beard. So it's different in different churches, right? So like in the Catholic church, in a big church like the Catholic Church, or Lutheran, like a bigger church, that you go through this process. You like go to school, you get your degree, you become ordained, which is kind of like your internship, and then they give you this like license, I guess, to basically say you can, preach, run the church, do weddings, do funerals, stuff like that.
Wait. You mean they tell you that you can preach? Is it like, like how a lot of times in comedies and sitcoms are like, preach it, girl. Did they do that to you?
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah, like you can basically run the church, there's a whole process for that.
But doing weddings, like, can't anyone do it? Like, you did Andy's wedding years ago, and you're not a pastor.
So Andy's wedding, if you noticed, there was a woman there who did the ceremony. Do you remember that? So
Yeah, but
So
she's
I
a
did
woman,
his
so you
first-
can't really do it.
You mean his fiance?
Oh, no. So what happened at Andy's wedding is I was there to like make it entertaining, and then the lady was there to make it like official in the eyes of the state and God or whatever. So she was like the ordained pastor lady there. She put the seal of approval on it. And then, I kind of filled in the details. But yeah, no, I wasn't ordained, so I couldn't have done that wedding.
Oh, okay. But you're the guy who's like, you can marry each other or whatever.
I didn't say that. She said that, remember? She was the one who sealed the deal.
So
No, I
so
was
let
just
me.
over-
So what you're saying is that so right now you have the power to basically marry people. Is that correct?
No, that's
Oh.
that's not the thing.
Still
my
no?
Still no. So my job is I'm the interim pastor, right? Which is like the interim head coach in football,
Yeah.
like the coach gets fired or he quits. And so the interim pastor is like running the church while they're looking for a new person.
Wow, that sucks. You're a substitute. You're literally the substitute teacher.
Kind of, but I'm in charge, so I still like every Sunday I preach,
Yeah.
I run things.
So you're basically just sitting on the bench hoping for the pastor to not show up so you can have your 5 minutes on stage.
Well, to use like a comedy analogy, it's like I'm up on stage and I'm doing time, or I'm about to go on stage, but like if somebody shows up, then I'll get bumped from the lineup, basically. But
Right.
so I've been running things, but I'm in charge. I preach every Sunday. I run the service. I've been doing it for like the last 2 months or whatever.
Okay,
And,
so I'm actually curious about the preaching on Sundays and everything, because like as a comedian, every time we come on stage, we have to kind of go through the process of writing, open micing it, and then getting on stage in front of a live audience. How does
Right.
that completely change for you, or do you have a similar process? I'm just curious, like, does that translate?
It translates a little bit, and it's a little bit tricky because usually with comedy, you've got your set, right? You've got your 5 minutes or your 20 minutes or your hour or whatever, and you've done that material over and over and over again, and you go to open mic and you run it and you get it tight and you get it really good. Preaching is like a totally different craft where you have to come up with a new 30 minutes every week. So
Wait,
it's
but
like,
you have material, you have the Bible, right?
you can, yeah, so you have the Bible, you know, so that's a little bit of, you know, that's a bit of I don't want to say filler. This seems kind of
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna throw in some Cain and Abel today. All right. Okay. So check this out. Right, these two guys are coming down this hill.
I mean, at least you have something that like you can cheat from. You know, if you're
Right.
like feeling lazy or whatever, you can just read 10 minutes off the Bible, right?
Yeah. So reading the Bible is cheating and lazy. Okay, so
It's not.
Hey, he's a Muslim, all right? So
Yeah.
just let's
I mean,
No.
yeah, I'm a Muslim, so I don't even believe the Bible is real. So anything you're doing is really cheating.
so the yeah, I mean that's true, right? It's a different form. So it's like you have the Bible, and then but you have to throw in some stories. You have to throw some, you know, you have to throw in some comedy because people, I mean, literally people, it's like it's yeah, people will just like fall asleep like while you're up there.
I've watched you on stage before, Drew. I know that feeling very well.
Nobody ever fell asleep when I was doing it.
Dude, I fell asleep while I was up next. I couldn't even just sit through your 5 minutes of throwing bread at the audience. Who does that, you freak?
Do you do that to your audience now at church?
Oh yeah, at church that would be more appropriate.
They're like, this is my body.
I throw bread at them. That's how I do communion. You know, I throw a loaf of bread and then dump wine on them. So that's so you know, it's a different form, right? It's a different craft. It's like you have 1 week to prepare 30 minutes, and then you get up there and you're trying to make it funny and entertaining, but it also should be pretty clear. Usually you have like 1 point. It's, you know, and so it's just a different craft, and it's very different than comedy. You know, it's like, I think it's, in my experience so far, it's a lot harder than comedy, because it's like comedy, you show up, you know, hang out for a bit, you go on stage, you do your set, and if you do well, everyone's like, oh my gosh, that was so great, you know, like, you're so funny, and they, you know, follow you on Twitter or whatever, and then you go home. Pastoring is like, it would be like if you showed up to the comedy club, but you got there an hour early so that you could clean the bathroom before the audience. Right?
So an open micer. Okay, all right.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. You're scrubbing the bathroom, okay? And you do that, and then people show up and you make sure everything's in order. And then, you know, they have like singing and prayer, and then you get up and you do the announcements. So that's like being your own opener. And then you do your 30 minutes, and that's like headlining, I guess. And then it's like you come off stage, as it were, you know, come off stage. You can't, I'm using air quotes here. And then you get off stage, and it would be like if the audience was like, oh, you know, they don't say great set. They just active. And then you counsel the audience for an hour and a half, and then you go home. You know, people want to talk about what's going on, their problems and things like that. So it's quite a bit more difficult than comedy, is what I'm finding. Right. So,
but then, okay,
yeah.
So then even the message, because you say usually every time you have one main message you want to can drive home, whether it's through stories or personal experience, do you get like audience requests? You know, like as a comedian, every now and then, like, oh, dude, are you going to do that bit? Are you going to do the bit about, you know, the unchecked and stuff? Like, do you get those? Like, dude, are you going to talk about the twins who try to kill each other? Are you going to do that one? Do you get those?
Do that one is a great line. Do that one.
Yeah.
The one where he comes back from the, love that story. We love that.
Dude, I love it. How you like 3 days later, he was back, bitches.
Tell us the one about the boat with all the animals on it. That's my favorite.
My son loves this one. His name is Noah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you get like for example, audience feedback or requests in the sense? Because I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people who will kind of approach you to talk to you after the whole service and everything. So do you get a lot of those as well?
people don't make requests. It's quite a bit harder than comedy because like with comedy, people are laughing. That's your, it's either they're either laughing or it's silent, which is like you're dying up there.
Right.
In preaching, you could be doing a great job and it's just dead silent there. You can kind of tell that people are into like the message or whatever, but it's like way lower energy. You know what I mean? It's not a comedy club. Generally speaking, most people at my church haven't had 2 drink minimum by the time they show up. Oh, some have
2 prayer minimum.
There are people who have shown up and they're like half in the bag. That's just how our church.
No, okay. Here's a question: wouldn't you know that you're killing it if everyone is crying? Then you're like absolutely destroying, right? Because you're reminding them that they're all going to hell and stuff.
It's like he died for your sin right over there. You.
So it's like the opposite of like getting applause breaks in comedy, but in your in pastoring, they're just crying, and you're like, yes, I'm doing it.
Well, you can start your own applause break. That's what I like to do. Just start clapping.
Yeah. Give it up for like you start with Jesus, and then you like put yourself in the equation. Give it up for Jesus. Everyone's like, yeah, and you're like, and me.
Yeah. Just quietly, and me.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, speaking seriously, I think that maybe what you're saying, like if people are crying and stuff like that, maybe I've seen that before. I'm not at that level, but I've seen that before where somebody will be talking about something and like the people watching will have like a very emotional reaction. I've seen that before. So I guess that would be the church equivalent of murdering.
Exactly. So you're actually jealous of the person on stage, like making people cry the same way you're jealous of like the guy in front of you destroying, right?
Yeah, like I would love to see it if you have like a comedy lineup of pastors going one after another. Everyone gets 7 minutes, and everyone's like, I gotta have 3 cries per minute, man. That's my bare minimum. I need 3 cries per minute.
Yeah. Hold on. Okay, a little side note. What if you had a Christian comedy club called Thou Shalt Not Murder? What would that?
Well, I mean, that would explain a lot of the open micers. They're like, I'm just following the 10 commandments. Thou should not murder. I mean, I cannot kill. Therefore, I'm bombing on stage. Do you understand?
That would be like the opposite of Jamie's club, which would be called I Need You to Murder.
I need you to kill.
Yeah. With a bracket that says for free.
Yeah.
That is literally the name of doesn't he have a documentary about the club?
Yeah, there was I think there was a documentary, I Need You to Kill or something, and they did feature the club as one of the interviewees.
I think who made it? Tom Segura or someone who was here?
Yeah, Tom Segura, 2 other guys, I forget their names now, but yeah.
You guys should go. You guys listening should go and find it online because Jamie denies its existence, and it's the funniest thing ever. It's like denying like the sun. I'm like, dude, it's right there. You can look it up. It's like, no. It's not. It's named after me. It doesn't make any sense.
But Drew, I'm curious though. So you talking about how before all this stuff happened, even during the comedy days, you were doing a lot of like mental health therapy and stuff like that. Was this always an issue, as in like an interest for you, or someone around you had this problem and therefore you felt I wanted to do something about it, or did you yourself face this? Because what I found is that in comedy, obviously you meet all sorts of people, and regardless whether it's on stage or off stage, there's always that issue of the mental well-being, or this guy's a bit quirky. Has it always been an issue of interest to you?
What's that? Mental health?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's always been a big interest of mine. My thing is I love to just talk to people. So therapy to me always appealed. I've been to therapy twice myself. I went my first time in 2011, and then I went again actually when we moved back from China. We moved back 4 years ago, so I went to therapy for like half a year. There was just a lot of stuff to work through when we made that move back to the US. So I've been through the process. I'm familiar with the process. I've seen it help so many people, and I love to just talk to people and hear their stories. And you're not always necessarily able to like help people per se, but if you just give them space to talk and be non-judgmental and listen to them, a lot of times people can just figure out whatever is going on their own. So
But
yeah, it's always
being non-judgmental is it's so opposite of being a pastor.
that's what so that's what people think, right? Like there's a lot of really toxic religion out there. And I mean, I know that. I grew up in a church that was, I would say, highly toxic and judgmental. And for me, like the older I get, I just feel like I can honestly say I'm sure the things when it's like, when I was a kid, is like, this is the way it is. Like these people are going to heaven, these people are going to hell. This is right, this is wrong. And the older I get, I just feel like I'm becoming more and more open and more willing to just be like, I don't know the answers, like it's really just about loving people. And just religion, like good religion should not be a barrier between you and other people, which it often is for a lot of people. Good religion should enhance your life, make you more compassionate, more loving, and more open-minded. But unfortunately, right, as we know, like that's not the way it generally is. Generally, it's like very exclusive. It's very toxic. It's very harmful to a lot of people. And so for me, doing this pastor job has been a lot of fun because I just like to hang out with people. And that's basically what the job is. You give you headline for 30 minutes each Sunday. You get to hang out with people. We ran a homeless shelter in December. We do things in the community. We have like a food pantry. It's just like good stuff. And as far as all the religious stuff goes, I'm just kind of in a place where I'm like, hey, I don't know all the answers. Like, I would rather just sit with you and listen and be your friend. And that's it. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of where I'm at. So I guess maybe that makes me like a bad pastor or a bad Christian.
I mean, I think my question is more about like, don't you feel the responsibility of the pressure? Because you are admittedly saying, I don't have all the answers. But imagine someone, whose kid is sick or whatever, and they want you to pray for them or something. And you're like, I don't know. But you're like so desperate.
Yeah, you can pray for them. But, it's one thing I've learned in counseling is like, you don't have the answers. I mean, in counseling, I've sat with people who are dying. I've had clients that, we were doing counseling sessions. They knew they would be dead soon. I knew they would be dead soon. Like we both knew it. There was nothing we could do about it. And it was almost like essential. Like you had to just say, I don't know. I can't fix your problem. And I think the trap that a lot of pastors get into is they feel this pressure, like I have to fix your problem or I have to have some good answer for you. And so out of that pressure, they say things that really, they can't really guarantee it. Like I had a person last week after service who wanted to talk to me about suicide. So it's better to just sit with somebody and listen to them. And at the end of it, be like, look, this is what the Bible says, or this is what I've heard, but I don't know. There's room for mystery. There's room for uncertainty. There's room for doubt. I think all those things are really healthy things. Like you have to have a healthy amount of doubt, I think, in any religion or belief system. If you don't have any doubt, isn't that sort of like, that's sort of, what is that, brainwashing? That's kind of like the definition of something unhealthy, right?
Yeah. Like I think that a lot of that can actually translate into the comedy world where you have certain people going on stage week after week and you're like, I do not realize this is not working. Like, no, I'm good. I think I'm awesome on stage. You're like, what's going on? I'm confused. So I think I can see that. So, okay, so coming back to this whole mental health thing is that what you're realizing now, honestly, and what you said earlier on is that you actually enjoy listening to people and basically just hanging out and talking, right? But have you found that the type of people you're meeting now, are there any overlaps back in like the comedy world? Like I'm sure, like, comedy days, it's all more lighthearted, fun, and everyone's a bit wacky in their own way. But do you notice, like, for example, now you're like, wait a second, this is making me see a lot of patterns I used to notice before amongst comedians where amongst comedians where, Hold on a second. I think that person actually has a problem. I never realized that until now. I've been talking to people in general. Do you see a lot of that?
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, I realized that years ago when I was at Kung Fu Comedy. I mean, I know, I'm not. It sounds like a joke, but really, it's not. Like the truth is like Kung Fu Comedy, which was the big club in Shanghai before it got shut down. Kung Fu Comedy was sort of like this light, right? That and people were attracted to it. You know, we'll say like a moth to the light. There was a lot of people that came to that club that had different mental issues, or they were going through some sort of personal crisis or things like that. I'm talking audience members and comedians, right? It was a place where people knew if you went there, you could find community and you could find, it was like a place to be. And so even back then, when I was like in grad school and during the day learning about, you know, depression, anxiety, and drug abuse, I was like learning that during the day and then going to the club at night. And I'm like, oh, look, there's that thing they were talking about in class, you know? So it's really a church and a comedy club are very similar in that way. They attract a certain kind of person for sure. There is similarities.
Yeah, we just don't get tax reductions. That's the big difference over there.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, here's a flammable question for you that might get you fired out of the church.
I'll be fired in a few weeks anyways. Go ahead.
What's your comment on the Pope's? He got into some kind of shit recently for saying that people who have pets are selfish, and people who choose to not have kids and have pets instead are selfish. And that basically made headlines about people. Obviously, the main comments were like, "What do you know when you choose to not have kids?" Like that's not, and that doesn't make any sense. Kind of hypocritical. But also people just like in general did not accept. A lot of people were not happy with his comment. Do you have any comment on this?
So the comment is having pets is selfish and you should have kids. Is that
Right.
what he said?
Yeah, having pets instead of having kids is selfish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, man, if you don't want to have kids, you shouldn't have kids. Like I have 2 kids. It's I don't see how you could be judgmental about that. It's like if you have a pet and you don't have a kid, I don't have a strong opinion about that. I'm sorry. I know that you're looking for like a hot take on that, but it's sort of like
not
if you
necessarily.
don't
I
wanna
actually
have-
remembered it. I remembered it because we were talking earlier about the thing, and I remember that I saw this headline recently when everyone was like, "Oh, this is so judgmental. This is not, accepting and all of that." Especially that he started off pretty well talking about like gay marriage and stuff like that, and it seems like he just kind of went downhill. It's kind of like a Laurent Janot set, basically. Started off really hot, and then like at the 4-minute mark, as Joe Schaefer called it, the crushing gag.
yeah, I that is a weird trajectory, right? To like be you start out promoting human rights and then you end up like bashing on dogs and cats. I don't know how you end up there. Maybe he ran out of material. He only had like
30 minutes a week,
minutes.
man. That's not easy. Hey, something's gonna flame somebody if you're doing 30 minutes every Sunday.
Yeah, if you talk for 30 minutes every week, you're gonna say something eventually. It's gonna get you fired.
Actually, this I had an earlier question about the 30 minutes thing, because you were saying that you have to keep people engaged and kind of like come up with 30 minutes. So are these stories mostly like, do you use personal stories more, or do you just like, do you recite stuff, not necessarily read from the Bible or whatever, but you talk about like historical events or stuff that's like more, from Jesus' story or whatever?
So where I'm at right now is there's 2 things that I've been trying to do lately. The first thing is I tell some of my own stories. I have like so many stories from living in China and all the crazy things that happened over there. And now, we haven't even gotten into the fact that I moved to Detroit, which is like, it's like China in a lot of ways. Like there's all kinds of crazy things. Maybe that's another episode, but, so I try to use my own stories and even sometimes I'll use material from before and like kind of rework it and use it to make a point. But the second thing is like whenever I start to talk about mental health, it's like people's ears just perk up, because I mean, I know it's probably similar in Hong Kong right now. The mental health crisis in America right now is just like it's crazy, you know? And so when you start to talk about things like that, people just, you know, immediately perk up. They want to hear more about that. And those are the two things that I've been leaning on. Yeah.
When do you find like the mental health issue is mostly because now people notice that it is an actual issue? Like before, this wasn't a topic that you would even know. You're like, oh, you're just being crazy. Oh, just come on, calm down, you know? But now you're like, oh, this is an actual issue that we have to do something about. And therefore, it's like the hot topic. Because I'm sure like 20, 30 years ago, if you talk about mental health, like, yeah, what about you have a brain? You're fine then. Can you think 1 + 1 = 2? You're done. Go home, right? But now it's like, oh, how are you feeling today? And there's two ends of the spectrum though. Like for example, on one end they're saying like, you know, you're trying to be too soft on this issue. It's kind of like the kid with the cold. You're like, okay, have this medicine, have that, go get some rest. Before it's like just sleep it out and you'll be fine, get lost, you know. So what's your take on that? Because like I mean for me, I'm like in the middle where on one end I participate in a lot of mental health well-being events and everything. And I always tell people, like, look, at the end of the day, if you keep trying to be, you know, oh, how you feeling? Are you feeling all right? You're good. Okay. If you're not feeling good, go sit down and smile more. But at the same time, I tell them, you know, you only learn from all these hardships. So even with comedies, like the more you go on stage, the more you suffer, the harder you get where you're like, okay, I'm fine with this. I can live through this pain. But if you're only performing to, let's say, friends and family who are always there to be supportive, the moment you go to a strange neighborhood, you're like, I don't know what to do. I'm have an issue. What's your take on that? The balance between like, you know, coddling and also just like, well, deal with it.
Yeah, I'm probably exactly where you're at, Vivek. It can go too far in both directions. So like, you know, 30 years ago, lots of things weren't talked about and a lot of people suffered and, you know, it was sort of swept under the rug and not talked about. Now, you know, now it's like, is it excessive at times? Is there times that, you know, maybe somebody's in therapy and it's like, okay, you know, you've been doing this for a year or two and it's like, it's time to kind of like move on, you know, like you need to put the work in and like work through whatever's going on and like move through it. Like therapy in my mind shouldn't last for, you know, your entire life. I mean, maybe in some rare cases, but generally speaking, when I see somebody, I try to see them in a few months or maybe at the most like 6 months or a year. Because if it's taking longer than that, then I would start to ask the question like, okay, what changes are you making? What, you know, it's a two-way street. So I feel the same way, you know, it's like people shouldn't be overly kind of like coddled, but also it is an issue. And I think it's an important thing. And with COVID, it's maybe more of an issue than it was a few years ago.
All right. So just let everybody know, speaking of counseling and stuff, we're down to the last minute of our session.
Okay, I actually have something. I want to do that on the free episode, not on the Patreon. I'm a huge fan, Drew, of your blog. You have a really great blog called A Bright Drewtopian Future, where you send, I think it's weekly now, right? Like
every
you
week.
Send an email every week. Yeah. I'm an avid like reader. I read every single blog post. You basically have three things. You have religion, comedy, and mental health or psychology. Right. And just talk to us a little bit. I mean, obviously this is you plugging the blog, but also tell the listeners a little bit about your how do you create it, because it's really quite something. It's basically a lot of short stories, a lot of sometimes seem to be random ideas, but they're really well thought out. So just tell us a little bit about the blog and how do people find it.
Yeah, so if you want to check out the blog, it's Drew Fralick, FRALICK.com. It comes out every Friday. And there's 4 topics that I go over: religion, mental health, comedy, and culture. And in every blog post, you'll find probably all 4 of those elements in each one of them, but each blog post has like a specific focus. So I'll be like, this week, the category is religion. You know, last week the category was comedy, and it's just short stories that I come up with. It's different things that I encounter in the counseling world. It's stories from China and Detroit, and also just like, you know, funny ideas, things I need to like get off my chest or whatever. But it's kind of written in a way that it's not really like a journal, like my journal online. It's more written so that people can read it. So that's I don't know if that's a good
No,
explanation.
this
but
is great. I honestly,
it's
I
pretty-
recommend people, so people can just find it online. They don't have to subscribe to anything. I
No,
recommend
it's
people
free.
to just like check it out, check out a couple of posts. I think you'll really enjoy it. And obviously, if they want to be updated with the new post, they can just sign up for the newsletter. Is that correct?
Yeah, and what I like to say, like going back to the religion thing, is like I like to say that it's like too hot for Christian radio. That's my tagline. Like, for example, this week the post was about an art piece. This like a church pew that forgives racism, and it's like talking about the topic of racism. But then, like last week, the blog topic was aliens are excavating the destroyed ruins of Earth, and the only thing they find left on Earth are fake titties. It's like it's all over the map, right? So one week I might be talking about Jesus. The next week it's about fake titties or some crazy story from China. It's not uptight, is what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? Pretty low.
It's very entertaining, nevertheless. As I said, I recommend people to check it out. Drew, thank you so much for coming on. We know we're keeping you late. You're in Detroit. We hope you have a good night, and we'll speak to you soon. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers.